Welcome to Teams 2 final presentation on our contributions towards the final project for database theory. I am Sarah Burtonshaw and these are my contributions towards the final project. I came up with the idea for the final project. I thought Pinterest would be a great way to be able to challenge us and be able to create a big application to where it has multiple tables, data, and things to think about to help us accomplish this project. With that, I came up with the first initial diagram and the tables to meet the requirements for the final project. And I helped review the code that Zach created and compared it to the diagram that Juan created for the final diagram. Also reviewed the final paper with Juan created. Also created the conclusion paragraph to tie in the rest of the paper. These are my contributions, and I will pass it on to Juan to talk about his.
Hello, guys. My name is Juan. My contribution to our final project was after Sarah made the project proposal. I reviewed the project to make sure that it also contained all the information that we needed. I made the initial conceptual diagram. One Sarah had corrected some of the tables and added some more tables. I also created a corrected conceptual diagram, which is the one that you guys see on the screen. After creating the conceptual diagram, from that, I also created the ER diagram, which is this one right here. And finally, I also worked in putting together this final paper, making sure that it looked professional enough, I guess, and then it covered all the points mentioned in the instructions. I made sure that we had a table of content, executive summary, vision and objective, uh, mission statement, make sure that I included services, use cases, business requirement, which is basically a copy of what Sarah had already done. I included the conceptual model and the ER diagram as well. Development approach, current release, feature release. Um, Sarah also had helped me with the conclusion as well. And I worked with Zach so that I can have the appendix created as well with all of the tables, a script to create the tables, and then inserting data into these tables. So this is also part of what Zach had done. And make sure that the time log was detailed enough so that you guys can see exactly how we all spend our time doing throughout this project.
Next, I'll go over the data we added as test data. I have a couple of different. With our main tables, we tried to implement at least 10 different types of data into those tables. So like 10 users, 10 pins, 10 comments, et cetera, et cetera. And then we had to run a bunch of test queries to make sure that all of the relationships in between them worked. And like an example of that would be, showing the board and their pin, to make sure that the pins are actually showing up on a board or that a comment is actually showing up on the correct pin or stuff like that. And everything didn't work at first, but we were able to get it adjusted and working so that everything is showing up in the way it should be. Finally, we've got the actual script that created our database here. Fairly normal stuff. Like I said, it's just primary keys, a couple of foreign keys in some of them. And we had our MySQL dump, so it shows all of the test data we implemented here. And then that is it for the most part. We've got our time log here. I would say this project gave our group a pretty hands-on experience designing a complete relational database, and we saw how a well-structured database, or at least what I would consider well-structured, can support key app features, like something in a real life app like Pinterest. And it was fun to do.